Testing. Testing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's starting. It's coming through. Oh my God, it's working. Yep.
Life's the same. I'm moving in stereo. Life's the same, except for
Good my shoes. All right. Real quick here, this is, I'm just using the graphic of a video from May of 2017 in which I described the link up between the Filmstrip approach and formal logic, specifically sort of a first order paradigm. There's no proofs here. There's a defining of sort of the basic structure and how this relates to first order logic kinds of analysis, which, like a mathematical analysis in statistics, is important. The fact that one example isn't a statistical example doesn't disprove statistics. I feel it's the same kind of thing with logical and mathematical type analysis in general. So I'm just going to try to do this briefly. This is pretty much for your benefit, Hthyloday, because I think this is the kind of thing that you've been asking for, and there's a few examples. This is pretty much always what I'm saying in language, but here I wrote it down in a way that maybe will make it more clear. Okay, so using the film strip with first order logic, first of all, the domain of objects is basically what we would call frames in the film strip. Okay, the sense in which that's loose is that it could be a part of a frame, right? So it's like one individuated feature out of the film strip, right? So what is a frame? That's a metaphor. So what I really mean here is like here, A3, like let's say all these A's are times I saw an apple. I saw one here, I saw one here, I saw one here, and I saw N apples. These are all the apples I've seen. Apple 2 and Apple 3 were the same apple. I left the room and I came back, or whatever. So the frames, however, whatever the data set that we're bundling together as an object, related perhaps spatially, but perhaps by, some other whatever feature we want, could be a red thing or whatever. These are the objects in our first order logic, not the predicates, they're the objects. So we could call capital A the set of all of the frames, not just of apples, but all of them. These aren't actually all meant to be times I saw apple, they're all the frames. Right, so A is a simple summation and over all of the frames in the film strip. Okay. R is a reality operator. So this is a predicate of A has physical reality. That's how I'd put it. Not just location, but things that do always involve location, but all the tangible, measurable quantities, at least the measurable quantities of, mass and spatial extension and position, which over time means motion. So, and with those same units, you can get all the kinds of energy that might be in a physical object. So these are real objects. That's at least the physical objects. I could make this a P for physical objects because R might include, because things that we don't want to call physical, or we have to split some hairs. Because when we're talking about an idea and it is physical, but it's representational, we're talking about it's not the thing it represents, but then again, neither is the idea of a particular apple actually the thing it represents. And we can dig down with these kinds of operators for this simple case of describing how this fits together with logical treatments. We'll say R just means it's real. We might have to refine what we mean by real later, but we have an idea of which are the illusions and which are the real frames or aspects of the frames of the film strip. Those real things, let's just put in set B, right? We'll say if it's real, then it also goes in set B, set of real things. If it's not real, meaning not physically real, meaning an illusion or fantasy or whatever, not real, then we will put it into set C. Okay, so capital B could be, you know, all the things B1 to Bn, which were A's that made it through the reality filter and are considered real. And C would be all the ones that didn't make it and were rejected and are considered unreal. Now, both pyrrho and Hthyloday take the set B of the real frames up here that we say, hey, that's legit data, that's telling us something, that's the physical location of the moon or something really robust like that. Maybe harder to trace or prove, but something like that. We use that set B to come up with a theory of materialism, a theory of what the material reality is like. All the real things is the material universe. We come up with a theory based on this set B. B implies our theory of the mechanical universe. Pyrrho and Hthyloday both do that. But here's what Hthyloday does that I don't do. You try to use the theory of materialism to prove that not C, that the C things are all false. No, they exist. It's as if you're trying to say that they don't really exist, when in reality, they just didn't make it through this arbitrary filter that is also subject to discussion. What should the R filter, the reality, what should it take to consider a frame reliable? You know, up here in frame, you know, A28, I saw a unicorn. I'm saying that goes in the not R case of C. But our material theory of mechanism doesn't prove that there's something unreal about the things that went in C. That's going backwards. That's circular. We are deriving the theory from B. You can't then take that theory and derive something about the R filter, except insofar as things that are real, like abstractions, might end up in C, and then you're saying, well, yeah, maybe we have to change this reality filter so that abstractions can make it through because our theory of materiality wants to include them. Or we can take the classic way out and say, no, our theory of reality will just be the physical things, and we'll pretend abstractions are in some unreal place that just happens to be interacting somehow with reality. All right.